All right, so good morning, everyone. Again, I see that some more people joined us. My name is Roberto Fernandez, and on behalf of the organizing committee of the National Conference for Teachers of English, I want to welcome you to our next interactive webinar. Jonnathan Elizondo holds an MA in Teaching English as a Foreign Language and a BA in Primary Education with emphasis in English teaching from the University of Costa Rica. Professor Elizondo is a current candidate to obtain a PhD in Education from Universidad Internacional Iberoamericana in Mexico. At present, he works for the Ministry of Public Education at Universidad Nacional de Educación a Distancia in the English teaching major, at CEDES Don Bosco Language Academy, and as an international examiner for Cambridge Assessment English. He devotes his time and energy seeking ways to enhance his students' learning process, and is especially interested in exploring the ICTs to improve students' language skills. A thought he strongly identifies with is Albert Einstein's quote, "I never teach my pupils, I only provide the conditions in which they can learn." Here to speak to us today with the presentation, "May Collaboration Be With Us," please welcome Jonnathan Elizondo.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Roberto, for such great presentation and the organizing committee for having me here in the National Conference for Teachers of English. I was actually very sad this might not be happening this year, but then you made it possible, and I'm very excited to be here. Right now, before I show you my presentation, I'm sharing a link in the chat, and you can access that link because we're going to be using Mentimeter today. So you can either go to the link or access menti.com, and then there is a code 27151. And you can look at that. Let me just see the chat here. All right. So may collaboration be with us. Before I start with this presentation, this is an idea I obtained from a colleague in Colombia that I really like, and it's starting presentations with something a little different than we are used to. So we're going to start with some fun and then some good about these times that we're living. We know it's a difficult time. We know students are going through a difficult time, families and the world in general. But there are some things that are fun about it. So here you can see Mr. Bean, and this is English teachers waiting for schools to reopen so they can write about your quarantine days in 300 words essay as an assignment. That's a meme I found over there. I'm going to write the code here again. It's 27151. It's in the chat. And there is another meme that I really found. I couldn't find it in English, but it's, "What is it that you are afraid of this quarantine?" And it's, "I am afraid of making a mistake with these two buttons over there, the mute and the start video." And we have seen a lot of people actually making huge mistakes with those, right? Then my next one is about the good. And this one has to do with two pieces of news that I found. The first one is students from a university, a public university in Costa Rica, creating an app that can actually track the pandemics in Costa Rica. And then there is this other young boy receiving millions of offers and very good offers because he was able to create a web tracker also of COVID-19 cases around the world. So there is fun, and there are also good things inside of these pandemics. Now, I would like to tell you I like collaboration, and one quote that I have always liked is Dr. Franklin Chang's quote. Dr. Franklin Chang is a Costa Rican astronaut. He has been 7 times to space. And he says that no one can get anywhere without the help of someone else. And that's why we need to learn about collaboration. So what are we going to be dealing with today? First, we're going to do some background knowledge. I would like to get to know you a little better. And also, I want to know how much do you know about collaboration. We're going to define collaboration and look at what we need to know in terms of collaboration. We're going to take some risks here. I know it's a lot of people, 159 at this moment, and I would like to try some tools that we can use for collaboration with our students. I would like to try them with you. And then I will be closing up, and this I changed a little bit. We're going to go to breakout rooms, then tips for using technology, and Q&A section. So let's get started. And the first question you have there, I would like you to answer is, what population do you teach? I would like to know if you work with children, teenagers, young adults, or if you are currently a student teacher. And you can see on the screen, if you are in the Zoom, you can see on the screen, or also you can see real time results. So it seems that right now, most people work with teenagers. Okay, I see in the chat also children, elementary school, children. Great, so we can interact both, either on the chat or through the Mentimeter. Okay, looks like teenagers are most. I am myself an elementary school teacher. I currently work for MEP most of my time, and also with adults at Universidad Estatal a Distancia. All right, let's move to the next question. And it's, how do you define, or how would you define collaboration? If I give you the word collaboration, what words come to your mind? And if you're not able to see the slide, you can just click go to slide in the Mentimeter. So we see peers, teamwork, cooperation with others, each help other, helping each other. Okay. Sharing, working together, working with others, helping others, I see there. Support, a lot of teamwork ideas. Help, cooperation. Great idea, sharing, a lot of teamwork. Excellent. Okay, let's go to our next question here. And it's, how much do you like technology with, or using technology with your students? Do you use it in every class, in every other class? I rarely use it in my classes, or I don't like technology or to use technology, which is a valid option as well. I mean, we all have our preferences. I see in the chat, some people, Leticia said, I love it. I use it in every class, I do this. Then I see here in Mentimeter that most people say I use it in every class. Well, nowadays we have to use it, right? But in normal times, all right. And this other question, have you promoted collaborative activities through technology in the past? Yes, no, or I am not sure. Maybe you have used different activities, but you're not sure if you have used collaboration, and we see all the little dots here. 48 people already answering. See in the chat, not sure. Okay, 44 people say yes, I have used collaboration through technology in the past. Okay. 83, 84, 50 people say yes. I see 15 people, you're not sure, and 19 people, you haven't used it in the past. So hopefully for those who are not sure, at the end of this presentation, you will know if you have used it or not in the past. For those who say no, you might be willing to try it. And for those who say yes, you might say, maybe I get new ideas on how to use it in the future. And the last question is, what are the 4 C's when we talk about skills? And here I wanna point out that I'm very happy that Dr. Parrish and also Jair Felix, they talked about the 4 C's in the presentations that we have had. If you were able to attend those sessions, actually they talked about that, the 4 C's. So when we talk about 4 C's in education and the 4 C's of skills in the 21st century, we see creativity, critical thinking, collaboration, communication, caring. And for those of you who haven't used this tool before, the word that you see the biggest is the word that people are repeating the most. So if you see collaboration, it's the word that you have been repeating the most. Confidence, comprehension, teamwork, community, compassion, which is very important nowadays, critical thinking. You see how this goes? Coordination, context, very important to use the context. Complex problem solving. I like that one a lot. Collaborate, similar to collaboration, right? Just a verb. Common sense, culture. Okay, it seems that critical thinking, collaboration, creativity, and communication are the ones that we see bigger over there. And that's great. So the 4 C's of education. And when we talk about the 4 C's, or when we talk about skills that we need to develop in our students nowadays, and this is something that Jair Felix was talking in his presentation, it's about what do we need to develop in our students? So if we look at this one, we have communication, which is very important. We as language teachers really need to help our students communicate. And here we can have a lot of different strategies that our students need in order to communicate effectively, right? Using circumlocution, being able to ask questions, to clarify when they don't understand, to agree and disagree politely, to be able to work in different contexts, right? Then we have critical thinking, being able to think, to look at the problems and think how to solve those problems. But not only that, I think it was Jair also talking about the different, how we can use pictures in the classroom. And it's not taking things for granted. How can we be critical thinkers? Well, you tell me something and I need to question that somehow. Is that right? Is that wrong? Are you telling me the truth? I'm going to investigate a little bit more. Or why not? I can say, you know what? I agree with what you're saying, but my thoughts are a little bit different here. Then we have creativity, and this is thinking outside the box, being able to look at a problem and finding solutions that maybe people haven't thought of in the past, right? I don't know if you've seen this TikTok in social media of a boy. His mother asked him like, why are you sad? And what is his answer? He says, well, because I am not happy. And this is totally creative. I mean, it's a different answer to a question. Usually when we say, why are you sad? You would say, well, because this and this and that happened to me. But I love, yes, and that's Logan. I love his answer. It's totally different. It's outside of the box. That's very creative. And we will need to develop that. But the skill that we are going to be working with today, it's collaboration. And it's working with other people, all right? So maybe you can use the chat right now to tell me, because there is a difference between collaboration and cooperation. So how would you define, or what do you think is the difference between collaboration and cooperation? And I would like to see your ideas in the chat. What are the differences? I see Anna saying the roles. Cooperation, using negotiation skills, how to work with each other, giving and receiving. Collaboration means reaching for a common goal. Okay, a goal present in collaboration. Great ideas. Now let's look at this image over here. If we see cooperation on one side, collaboration on the other side, And here we basically see that cooperation is a lot of different parts put together, and then we get a final result. So when our teachers or professors at the university tell us, you need to do this work as a team, and you need to, I don't know, conduct this research or this letter, you have to make it as a team. Many times what we students do is we say, okay, you know what, person A, you do this, person B, you do that, person C, you do the other thing, and I do another thing. Then we put everything together, and that's our final Frankenstein that we're going to somehow put together and maybe make some adjustments over there and give to the teacher. So we're not actually working on collaboration, we're working cooperatively. We're doing different tasks and then putting everything together. However, when we talk about collaboration, we're talking about everybody working on the same task, everybody communicating, thinking critically, putting creativity to solve a problem, and then together we get a result. So that is very important for us to have as teachers. And when we talk about this in terms of teaching, we talk about cooperative learning and collaborative learning. So they are very similar, but still quite different. And we're going to see what those differences are. So here I have cooperative learning. And basically here, cooperative learning, it says that it's very teacher-centered. So the teacher is conducting everything in the classroom. The teacher is telling me everything that I have to do, probably giving me some lectures and some activities, but still learning is very teacher-centered. Then what we have is closed-ended tasks. So we're talking about a product, and that's what we really want, okay? You have to write this letter together, and the letter is what matters. Everyone works on different pieces, as I said before, and then sharing ideas as a group. Now, we all have this presentation about learning styles. I become an expert on one learning style, and then the other person becomes an expert in another learning style. Then we put everything together, we go and present and share ideas as a group. The teacher probably doesn't know or doesn't figure out somehow that I was able or I was in charge of one part and the other person in another one, because we shared ideas together. And then there is some engagement in the tasks, right? However, when we look at collaboration, we're talking about something totally different here. So collaborative learning is student-centered. And here the teacher needs to forget a little bit about that controlling role of a teacher. And this is why sometimes we teachers are a little scared of collaborative learning, because we need to give up control and we need to tell the students, okay, this is what you have to do, but now you are in control. And that's when we talk about, for example, the roles. So one person in charge of the time keeping, one person in charge of the moderation. And so that is very student-centered. And maybe teachers feel like, okay, I don't have control over that. I would really like to interrupt. I would really like to, for them to do the things the way I was thinking. But this is the students that are in control. Now, the tasks are more open-ended. So I give them a task and the results might not be the ones I expected. In terms of language, for example, what I really want them to do is to use the language in different ways, right? There is more complexity in the tasks. So these tasks are not that simple, and they are going to do it collaboratively. That means we are all going to work together in the same section of the task. And then once we finish that section, we move to the next part. And once we finish that next part, we have our task complete. And of course, there is a lot of empowerment in the students, okay? And here, in the case of empowerment, when we see Star Wars, that's why the title of my presentation, may collaboration be with us, may collaboration be with you. We want to empower the students. We want to tell them, you know what, through collaboration, you can actually get very far, and you don't necessarily need the teacher all the time controlling everything you do, okay? So there is a question that we might have, and it's, what do I do then? I want to do collaboration, but how do I do it? Okay. So first, it's grouping. How do I group my students? And this has to do with the size of the groups. It is said that if we work on groups of 2 or 3 students, that seems to be too little. If we work with groups of 6 or more students, that's too much, because there's always people that are going to control what the group is doing, and there are these people that are not going to work at all. So what is the ideal number that experts recommend for this? Between 4 and 5 students. So each student can have a different role, and then work will be done. Now, the second part is, how do I form the groups? The first one is how many students. The second one, how do I do it? And we see in this picture that the teacher is choosing all the people that look quite the same. They are very similar. So this is said to be a homogeneous group. What is the advantage of homogeneous group? That people are very comfortable. And this usually happens when the teacher tells students, you can choose who do you want to work with for this project. Yesterday at the university, I was told, well, you're going to be working together for a project. Who do you want to work with? And I immediately thought of a classmate that is very responsible. I know her from the past. I know how she works. So I was actually, I told her, you know what, we can make a very good group. So I was looking for kind of homogeneous group, someone that will match my personality very well. However, we teachers can also do groups that are heterogeneous. And we might say, yes, but it's very complicated, and maybe the students that are more advanced are going to feel less comfortable. Well, let me tell you that there is research that shows that when you put a group together in which you have high achievers and low achievers tend to do better and tend to perform better. And high achievers tend to lower their level so to match the lower achievers. And this is very normal in nature. This is animal nature, and we say that humans are very related to animals. When you see two animals, for example, I have two dogs. One is a bigger dog than the other, and when they are playing together, the bigger dog is of course stronger, but sometimes she just goes in the floor and lets the other dog get on top of her and start teasing her. Why does she do that? Because she wants to be at the same level. She wants the other dog to feel as strong as she does. So putting students in a heterogeneous way may help those low achievers perform better, and that is proven again. Number 3 is assigning roles. We assign roles when we have more complex tasks. If my task is very simple, or if my task is something that can be achieved in one class or in a very short period of time, I don't think assigning roles might help a lot. But we can actually, if we're going to work for a longer period of time on a long-term project, we can have the students actually get different roles. So you see here in these role cards, we have one person that is the chair, the other is a scribe, the other is a timekeeper, there is a facilitator, a resource investigator, and a sharer. In a normal group, in a normal classroom, not online, but let's say in a regular classroom, we can ask one student like, okay, here are the materials, here are the markers. So if you need materials, you need to have one person in charge of that. You can tell that person, please go ahead, bring the markers, or bring the scissors, or bring different materials. And that will be one of the roles, okay? Now, the fourth thing that we need to consider, it has to do with anxiety. How can I lower anxiety? And it's very important that students many times get very anxious, and the way for them to lower their anxiety is to use humor inside of the group. So let them be. let them use that humor. Let them talk about different things as long as they are still working on task. So in that case, I would say relax, but keep on task. That's what I will tell my students. It's okay if you feel a little bit, if you feel a little bit stressed, if you feel a little bit anxious, you can use some humor, but don't forget about the task that you're working on right now. The fifth idea has to do with the zone of proximal development, and that was also mentioned in one of the sessions before. So here we have basically that we need to give some scaffolding to our students, and that scaffolding is basically the support that we're going to give our students. So in this high challenge, low support and high support diagram that we have, you see that if you give students low challenge and low support, so the challenge is minimum and the support is minimum, they are going to get bored. If you give them no support, no challenge, but high support, they are going to get in the comfort zone. They say, well, you know what? I know with the support the teacher is giving me, I'm going to be able to do this. If we give them low support, but the challenge is big, they are going to be frustrated. And the optimal thing is the zone of proximal development. We give them a lot of challenge, but we give them the support they require. That will actually help them, and that is the scaffolding that we talk about. The higher the challenge, the more support my students will need. So maybe when I am working in this collaboration, I will need to do some pre-teaching. I will need to prepare my students to be able to do what they want to achieve in the end, okay? And the last idea here is to add variety. I have a lot of donuts here, and I love donuts. I don't know if you do, but these donuts all taste differently. Even though they are donuts, it's not the same a donut that is glazed with chocolate and a donut that is glazed with strawberry or vanilla or something else. So if we're going to do collaboration in the class, we need to add variety in our classes so that our students are able to feel, well, we're working in groups, but we're doing different tasks here. And maybe today I work with some of my classmates, and 2 or 3 weeks later, I work with other classmates. Maybe the groups for this task are going to be somehow homogeneous, and later they are going to be heterogeneous. Maybe today we choose the groups, but next time the teacher is the one that makes the groups. So adding that variety is going to be very helpful for the students, okay? So what are some of the tools that we can use? And here we're going to start, as I told you, taking some risks, experimenting a little bit, because I have some tools for you that I want to explore. So let me explain what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain the tool first, what we can use it for, then how you're going to use it today, and then I'm going to give you either the link or the QR code so you can access that, okay? So the first tool that we have here is Google Docs. And Google Docs is very simple to use because you just have to create a document. It's a word processor. So you create a document, you can add a prompt to the document, you give permission to the student for the students to edit, you share the link, and then you ask your students to work. If needed, you can give them feedback. So the Word document that you're going to be working on today is this one, is the KWL collaboration chart. So what are the instructions? I tried to divide this chart in 4 different charts actually, and according to your name initial, that is the one that you're going to be using. So when you get to the chart, you're going to get to this page over here, and you have to look for your initial. So if your initial is from A to D, you need to click on the first one. If it is from E to L, you need to click on the one that says from E to L, okay? And then you see that it will say, if you're on a computer, it will open like bookmark, you click on the bookmark, and then it will take you there. Great question, and it's initial, first name, okay? We're going to use initial for the first names. So right now, give me just one moment. I'm going to send you this one there. Now, if you're working in a, it's already in the chat, and I'm also going to project it here. So it's very simple. It's tinyurl.com. If you want, you don't have to type the HTTPS, just tinyurl.com/docs National Conference Teachers of English, NCTE. Or you can use this, this QR code over there also to get it. If you're working on a cell phone and you don't have Google Docs in your cell phone, it will ask you to download Google Docs so you can edit the document, okay? But the idea is that we're going to see how this goes. So once you are in the QRL, in the KWL chart, it says what I knew about the topic, what I have learned about the topic, and how can I apply this in my class. Now, this might be a little crowded. So when you are there, make sure you don't erase anything. You just, if you're typing something, you can just keep hitting enter. So you get to a new space that is blank. I see already some people there working. So you can see that as a teacher, as a professor, you can actually see what your students are doing. And if I want here, I can ask this person a question. I can actually add a comment, for example, to this one, and I can ask a question to that person, right? I see a lot of people over there already trying to type. Let's go to the next one. You see, we have to the ENL. I know this might be a little complicated. Maybe don't start in the K. You can start in the W or in the L. So you see, it's what I knew about collaboration, what I have learned, and how can I apply it in my class. Okay. I decided to change the last section because I already kind of gave you some ideas on the L, and we're going to talk about what you learned later. Yes, I know if someone erased a classmate's comment, well, this can happen synchronously, like right now, we're working all together on the same document. So this might be, and we are a lot of people. I mean, you are 179 people. So if later one of your students says like, I wrote something, but somebody erased it. As a teacher, you can also look at the track keeper of the document as the owner of the document, and you can see where that person included the document. Ideally, what I would ask my students to do, here we have actually everybody or most people are working anonymously, but ideally what I would do is ask my students to sign in with their Google account, and then I can see who wrote what. And this is very important as a teacher as well. So right now, as you may notice, you can say, well, basically we are not working on collaboration, we're working on cooperation. That's right. Because of the number of participants that we have here, we're actually working on cooperation and not on collaboration itself. But still, this is very interesting to see how your students can do. What I have done in the past, for example, using a Google Doc, is I have told my students, I have created different documents, and then they have to work in groups of 4 to write a letter, for example. We were on one of the units was about work related. And so they had to write a letter of introduction, a letter in which they tell the company who they are and why they want their job. So in each of the different 4 documents or 5 documents that I had, I wrote a situation like, this is the company you are applying for. And then students needed to work together in groups of 4 to write a letter. So everything was done over there by comments. Someone wrote a sentence and then someone else was asking about that, okay? I know, yes, I know this might be difficult depending on where you are right now, if you're in a cell phone, if you are in a computer, but I just wanted you to get the feeling of how this might work. If you are in a cell phone and you get into the application or into the document, you need to click on the little pencil that says edit, and then it will let you edit, okay? All right, so let's read some of your comments. It says here, what I knew about the topic, I know that I have been doing this and I didn't know. That's very good. So that's one of the people who wrote first, I don't know. Now you have been doing this. I thought that collaboration and cooperation were similar, where they are very, very similar. There is a very fine line between those two. But still remember, collaboration is everybody working together as a team towards the achievement of a goal. And cooperation is we work all in different sections and then we put everything together and we have the project or the task is ready, okay? So I'm going to stop there and I would like you to come back to the main session. Okay, I know that is very exciting, but I want to continue with another question. So this is in the Mentimeter. Remember again, if you have the Mentimeter open, is the question there is which activities would Google Docs be useful for? So what do you think? What would you use Google Docs for? And I'm going to send you again the link for the Mentimeter in case you lost it. So there you have it. Okay, I see writing activities, a research paper, giving feedback, writing projects, to share documents, written production. Now, what I like about these ideas, and when I see you saying writing activities, written production, writing projects, what I really love about this idea is that these ideas is that actually writing can be fun for the students. It doesn't have to be something very boring, let's say, okay? We see here written collaboration. And when we talk about collaboration, I mean, in real life, I have had to present in my work, I have had to present reports that we needed to work or to write as a team. The English teachers need to present a report on what they did this year with the English festival, for example. So when we do this with our students, we're actually preparing them, not only with the collaboration part, but also with, here is a tool that you can use in the future in your real life to work in collaboration with other people. Right now, for example, I'm working at UNED in a research project. And what we did with my colleague who is working with me is that we created a shared folder in Drive, in OneDrive, and then we're doing sometimes different things at different parts. So some parts we work as cooperation, but then some parts we work at collaboration. So we meet by Zoom, everybody opens the document, and we both start typing ideas and changing and correcting. So we work together. And again, if we do this with our students, we can actually teach them skills that they are going to need in the future, okay? Now, another one that I want to try with you is Jamboard. And here I noticed something last night when I was doing my final adjustments here is that Jamboard, the link I'm going to share with you, will work if you are on a computer. It will not work if you are in a cell phone. I couldn't figure out why. I was looking at a lot of different comments, but I couldn't. So what I did is that I created another activity for those who cannot access Jamboard because of their cell phone. So basically Jamboard is a board like the one we used in the previous session. And we have different options for the students. They can have a pen, they can have an eraser, they can select, they can have sticky notes, images, lasers, and then as the owner of the Jamboard, you can download as a PDF and you can share with your students. Yes, you need the Google account to create the Jamboard, but the other tool I'm going to show you doesn't need a Google account to create, okay? So this is a Jamboard, and again here, my question is, how do collaborative tasks benefit students? That's the name of the Jamboard here. And when you enter, you will see in the middle that it has 4 different slides, 4 different boards. So again, by your initials, you can go okay? And my recommendation, what I would really like you to do is to use the sticky notes. So when you click on sticky notes, you can type, and for example, I think, and you save, and you see the sticky note over there, okay? And we can move it around so it doesn't get on top of another one. This is called Jamboard because it's going to get very jammed, right? So let me just share with you here. We have the link. Again, it's tinyurl.com, Jamboard NCTE, and I'm posting this in just a moment. Okay, I'm posting it over there. And we're going to use, for those again who don't have Jamboard or who cannot use Jamboard, can access this other one, which is OApp. And it's, again, it's a board. It's this one that I have here. So when you get there, again, please look for the sticky note. Your students can play with it. Of course, they're going to be using the different pens and the different pencils and erasers and everything. But maybe we can have, okay, if it's already too jammed with people, you can go to the OApp. Let me just give you again. And in the pencil, if you're on a cell phone, you can look for the pencil and then choose sticky notes. Okay, so you can see how this works over here. I'm going to give you again the link for the OApp. And I'm going to show you the QR code because you're asking for that. Let me go a little bit to the Jamboard. Okay, remember the question for these two is, how do collaborative tasks benefit students? So here, one advantage of collaborative learning is that the learning process becomes into an active process. Yes, we help our students become owners of their learning process. And this is one of the things we know Costa Rica is right now trying to do, right? It will help my students feel more comfortable. Definitely that anxiety that we talked about before, they feel more comfortable. They feel like as if they were playing to do something together, okay? Again, what I would do if I were to use Jamboard is I would create one board for each of the groups, and then those students can actually work on that board, okay? I really like to use this one for I really like to use this one for brainstorming about a topic. You need to write about something. So let's do a brainstorming Jamboard together, and then you start choosing what topics you want to do. Okay, you see this one got a little bit more jammed than the other one. I can go less, okay, very interactive, great. So you see all the students there interacting. Of course, depending on the students, we need a little bit of training, and students are going to be just as excited as you are right now, okay? And another, maybe we can go come back. I know that's very exciting. I have another question related to Jamboard, and this one is, how does Jamboard promote collaboration? So Jamboard itself as a tool, how do you think it promotes collaboration with your students? And let me copy the Mentimeter here just in case. Through creativity. Yes, I really like these two tools, OAP and also Jamboard, because students can become creative. If you don't like to type, don't type, just draw something or write it, right? If you have maybe an iPad, it would be easier for you to do, okay? Creativity, it works in immediately. Yes, we can immediately see what our students are doing, and we can also provide immediate feedback. Students are really working together, providing feedback, yes, okay? Very interactive. It creates conversation. Great. Excellent. Teamwork. All right. That's a lot of ideas over there. All right. And now we're going to use, I know many people like this one because I have seen that through the different presentations that you actually talked about this. I heard some people saying that when we heard Dr. Shin talking about making the screen come alive, many people were saying like, I use Padlet. Also in the formative assessment by Dr. Clark, I heard people saying that, which is great. And basically Padlet gives the impression of a bulletin board. It has multiple designs and multiple designs that you can choose from. And students can add links, they can add videos, they can add pictures, voice, screen recordings. So the options are multiple. And here I have the QR code. Let me just tell you, when you enter there, it says, may collaboration be with us. What is your experience with Padlet and how would you use it with these populations? So what you can do is in any of the columns that you want to add a comment, you can actually click on the plus symbol and add your comment over there. Please, I would love if you add your comment and at the end, you add your name. So we can actually, or I can actually have it for later. I'm going to give you the link for that one, the tiny URL. And if you're wondering about tiny URL, it's very simple. You just go to tinyurl.com. You copy any URL you want to make tiny, and then it will give you the URL. You can even personalize it. Like you can see all of these, I personalized with like Padlet, NCTE, National Conference for Teachers of English. I created one the other day that was Taller Teacher John, or I can make a lot of different tiny URLs, very personalized, very simple, because the idea here is that we're telling our students, or we're giving our students the URL, but we want to make it as easier as possible for them to access, okay? So let's see, I already see a lot of comments here. They are starting to write. Interactive language activity, cool, I love it. So you see, I can see a lot of people at the same time, and then I can go to any of the columns and I can scroll down to see the comments, okay? One person says, I haven't used it. I have never used Padlet. Well, you're welcome to use it. And Padlet is a very simple tool. It's intuitive. We don't need a lot of training to use Padlet. Very intuitive. In the free version, I think you can create 5 different Padlets. So what I always do is that I create a Padlet. When it has served the purpose, I erase it and I create another one. I can take screenshots if I want to remember later, if I want to remember what my students wrote. But remember that the great thing about these tools is that if they are for free, what you can do is exactly that. You can just use it when you have, or when it serves the purpose, that's it, okay? I use it in classes, received it at the university. They enjoy, classes become more interesting, okay? I have never used it before, but I would like to use it even as a blog to keep track of my students. I have seen many teachers, they add columns, like for example, here, if you see my Padlet, I'm the owner, so I can add a column here. And every week I can add a different column. And then at the end of the 12, 13, 20 weeks, we can have a big Padlet with the learnings from those weeks. Again, remember that when students click in the plus, they have multiple options. So you see that they can upload, they can enter a link, they can take a photo from your camera, they can film video and send the video here. They can record an audio. So again, it's helping, and it has to do, I think, with that concept of the UDL, right? University, UDL, University Design for Universal Design for Learning, or DUA in Spanish, right? Okay. Great, so I'm going to close that one. I have an extra one just in case we have more time. Let me see how time goes. I see that we have around 8 minutes here. So my question now for you is, how much would your students like Padlet? What do you think about that? I don't know, not much, quite, or they will be very excited. Again, I'm sending you the Menti just in case you need it. I don't know. I see one person there saying no, they wouldn't like it that much. That depends a lot on the students. Again, all of these tools have to do with personality of the students, right? How are they as a person? Because if I don't like to use technology at all, I might be reluctant to use it. Or maybe they are just like teacher Jonathan, who loves technology, and every single tool that I get to know, I get very excited and I start using it, right? First graders will love it. That's great. I work with young learners. This year I'm working with first graders and fourth graders. I used it with first graders. It was in the school. We have some tablets at school. So students got very excited about it and they really wanted, it was a carousel that I organized. They were working in different groups, going through different sections. And when they were really eager to get to the tablet section to use Padlet. And then later in the class, I showed them the Padlet on the screen and they were very excited. And they were telling like, this is my idea. This is my cooperation here. So very interesting. Padlet is not part of Gmail. You can create an account. You just go to padlet.com and you create an account over there with any email that you have, okay? Now, I was very excited to hear Trish Harvey talking about this. And believe me, I'm super excited to get to see Dr. Ruben Puentedura this evening, because ever since I learned about this model, I have loved it. I have studied it a little bit and I simply like it. So this model tells me that, again, I go from substitution to redefinition in the classroom in terms of using technology. So you see that we can have, we can go from enhancement to transformation. And what do we want to do in our classrooms? We as teachers really want to transform our classrooms. So if we start using these technological tools and we start adding collaboration with that, I think that we're actually modifying and redefining our activities. And what Dr. Puentedura says about the M and the R is basically that in modification, technology allows for significant task redesign, and redefinition, technology allows for the creation of new tasks previously inconceivable. I remember when I was in college a couple of years ago, just like 3 years ago, starting my bachelor's degree. And I remember that I would hand in a document to the teacher, a written document, and I had to wait 1 entire week to get feedback. Or I would do an oral presentation and I had to wait an entire week to get the feedback. By the time I got the feedback, I had forgotten about my written project. I had forgotten about the words I had said during my presentation. So what we need to, now with technology, we can give students almost immediate feedback. And it's going to be more valuable because they are going to notice it at the moment and they're going to remember. Carla is asking me here, how many columns can I add in Padlet? I am not sure. I haven't gotten that far yet. As you saw, I had like 5 there and it still gave me more. So I don't know exactly how many, but we can figure that out somehow, okay? So I invite you to use collaboration, okay? And for this last activity, now we're going to go to the breakout rooms. But before going to the breakout rooms, I'm going to send you a link. I don't want you to do it right now. I want you, this is going to be homework. So it's collaborative homework. And this is Flipgrid. I don't know if you have heard of Flipgrid before. I'm going to show it to you right now. So Flipgrid, I created this Flipgrid and it says, what is a message you want to send to teachers? So we know that teachers are working hard. We are working very hard out there. And what I want you to do is to record a short video. And for this one, you need to include an email and record a video saying something to teachers out there. I'm going to be posting this probably next week by Wednesday or so in my Facebook page, so teachers can see that those videos that you are sending them. And it can be in Spanish, it can be in English, it can be in your, I don't know, if it's Chinese, Cantonese, if it's any other language that you use from the ones that people that we have here, you can actually do it in your own language, okay? So I am sending you the link. Remember, you can do it later. And this one is very simple. It's flipgrid.com/NCTE 2020, National Conference Teachers of English 2020. So you can remember that very well. Now talking about the groups that you're going to be working, I want you to work in small groups, and here you can decide to assign roles. Like one person can take the role of the timekeeper, one person can take the role of the mediator, for example. So work in small groups, choose one of the tools in a specific population. It can be one of the tools that I show you today, or one of the tools that some other people have shown you, or one of the tools that you use. Think of an activity you would do with your students. In that specific population, what would be the objective and the collaborative task? And finally, I want you to discuss, how would these students benefit from such activity? How would students benefit with that activity that you created using collaboration? So you're going to have, for this one, it's not going to be 20 minutes, it's going to be at around 15 minutes now. So I think I'm going to stop sharing here. I think, Roberto, you have something to tell people.
Thank you very much, Jonathan, for these wonderful tools that you've shared. And just before we go into breakout rooms, a couple of reminders. First of all, remember this is great time for us to collaborate in smaller groups and for us to be able to share with peers and to apply the context into your own reality, and also to get some ideas from different people. We do recommend you to mute your mics when you're not speaking so that we can minimize the background noise. And remember to follow the conference etiquette guidelines. Jonathan is going to be going through several breakout rooms for you to expect him. Unfortunately, because of time, he cannot visit them all. But then we will come back to the main room so that we can wrap up, discuss, and have some Q&A.
Sorry to interrupt, Roberto.
Go ahead.
I'm just sending a link for the breakout room so you can see like a document with the instructions in case you need it.
Great. So we're going to give just a couple more seconds for everyone to go ahead and click on that link or copy it. Because remember, once you are in breakout rooms, you're not going to be able to see the general chat. You'll have your breakout room chat. So go ahead and copy it or click on it. And then Jonathan, our host, go ahead and send us to breakout rooms.
Good. There are going to be like about 4 people per room.
Awesome.
Okay, people, please join your partners, join your groups. Let's get to work. Okay, Roberto, everyone is back in the main room.
Thank you. So welcome back, everyone. We are now in the main room. Thank you for participating and collaborating in our breakout room. We will now have some final thoughts on Jonathan, well, from Jonathan, and then we will go into our Q&A session. So Jonathan, the floor is all yours.
Okay, well, see, can you listen to me now?
Loud and clear.
Okay, so that was a lot of great comments. I really like the idea of using Google Docs as a process to the final draft. Now students cannot or do not need to write the same paragraph 3, 4, 5 times. They just make corrections and they are ready or almost ready for the final draft, right, or the final version. And I also liked one of the groups talking about the mini projects, using it for mini projects in collaboration. Now, my final thoughts, and these are kind of my final thoughts all the time when I talk about technology, because I find them personally very useful. Begin by using technologies you are familiar with. If you don't know about a specific technology, please go ahead and look for YouTube tutorials, get familiar with it. What I always do is that I play the student and teacher role. So I have my browsers, and for example, in Google Chrome, I am the teacher, and then in Mozilla or in what is it, the Microsoft Edge, I am the student, and I explore to see how the teacher sees it, how the student sees it. Cultivate collaboration, and this is the key word here again, collaboration with other teachers. You can actually work together to create projects, to create ideas, to learn about different tools. Ask colleagues to play the role of the students, and this is part of collaboration. Very important, this was one of the questions in last session that we had for those who attended, and it's make wise decisions as of when technology is integrated into learning. I don't think if you use technology or if you use the same tool in every single class, students are not going to like it. I always say it loses the magic. So make wise decision. And we need to recognize the challenge. I know a lot of people out there, me included, students who don't have any connectivity right now to internet, or students who have a device that doesn't allow them to download a lot of different apps and only one or two apps. So we need to recognize the challenge. Once we recognize the challenge, we can figure out ways of working them around and develop your own technology skills. There are so many opportunities out there that we can use to develop. I would like to finish with Helen Keller's phrase, alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. So I think it's time for questions.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. Just a reminder for everyone, you can send the questions through the chat or raise your hand and we will open the mics for you. We do have a couple of questions that I have collected throughout the session. The first one is, what do you think about mixing profile levels, especially with speaking collaborative tasks?
I think it is a very good idea. When you ask your students to speak, the more advanced students can actually help the lower students or the students with the lower levels of proficiency. They can help them with the vocabulary they need, so they can ask like a coach. They can ask as a teacher there in the small group. And as I told you before, there is research that shows that actually lower students tend to push it a little harder, so their level goes up, and that what they want is somehow they feel they are competing with their peers in a good way. And so that is a very good idea to make it varied, so one student helps the other. And you can also assign roles. You can tell students, okay, if you know this student has a high profile, you can assign a role of a helper somehow. And then one of the students that has a low level of proficiency, maybe that can be the person who reports at the end. So that person needs to work a little harder to make it possible.
Thank you very much. We have another question here. What tools do you recommend to use for Teams? I'm assuming the Teams platform as opposed to Zoom.
The Teams platform, well, I haven't explored a lot of or explored Teams platform a lot, I must admit. But I think any tool that you find in which you can provide your students with an URL can be actually useful, right? You can actually set up, for example, a Google Doc, and then you can share it in any platform that you imagine, because it is just open to anybody who has the link. You can use a whiteboard like Allboard or the other boards that we have seen through this conference, and actually you can just give the students the link. In Teams, I know that there is an option to make a notepad, and that notepad it can have one section that is for everybody, so we can post there questions and collaborations. You can also do breakout rooms in Teams. I know it's a little more complicated than Zoom, but it is possible. And so those can be things that you can do.
Thank you very much. Another question came out through the chat. What tools can I use to teach listening and speaking classes?
For listening and speaking classes, I really liked the one that was mentioned in the previous session, that is VoiceThread. Is a very useful tool. in which you can actually provide, or one student can upload a presentation or create a presentation, kind of a PowerPoint, and then you can add voice to it. You can add text to it as well as comments. Comments can be public or they can be private only to the person you are addressing. You can also use Vocaroo. I really like Vocaroo. You can record yourself there. The platform keeps it online. You share the link, and after a couple of weeks after nobody is accessing the link, the platform deletes the audio itself, right? So those are very good tools. And of course, platforms that can be synchronous, like using Jitsi or Zoom or Teams, can be very good for listening and speaking. I have also used ProProfs for listening and to promote listening. That is kind of a platform more for like individual learning, but you can use it as well.
All right, excellent. Do we have any more questions? Feel free to raise your hand or send us the questions through the chat. We will be more than glad to help you. In the meantime, I do see a lot of comments that are saying thank you for all of the tools that you have shared. While we wait for some more questions to come, people are really thankful for the tools you shared. All right. So I guess, Jonnathan, if you want to take a couple more seconds to wrap up before we close the session.
So yes, I would just like to again thank the organizing committee here and thank everybody who showed up for today's session. I know it has been a great 4 days, but sometimes it becomes quite tiring, right? Invite you to use that link that I sent you for the Flipgrid, and invite you, if you have any questions, send me an email. You have it there, jelizondo@UNED-ACCR. Or you can also visit my Facebook page. I have a Facebook page for teachers. It was originally English teachers. I have transformed it a little bit for kind of generally teaching in general. And congratulate teachers right now in Costa Rica and around the world, because we are all doing a great job, and we're showing how education, or what education is meant to be. And it's no matter what the circumstances, we are there, we are collaborating, and so may collaboration be with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jonnathan. And on behalf of the organizing committee of the National Conference for Teachers of English, Costa Rica, I want to thank you for your wonderful presentation and for your willingness to share your time and contribute to the success of our online event. Please help me or join me giving him a warm virtual applause. And I'd like to show my hands to the screen while I'm